Hey, solos, do you love Epcot? Because I love Epcot. And you know who else loves Epcot? The Dapper Danielle. Danielle Kelly. And guess what? There is an all new book published by Adams Media called An Unofficial Fan Guide, I Love Epcot. And today we're going to talk all about it. Hey everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do. And welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. And I just feel like so many of us solos just love Epcot. And I think so many of us too are always like looking for other stories and other things that we can learn and help us be immersed in Epcot. And this new book published by Adams Media, written by the Dapper Danielle and also Ian Wilson, is just a wonderful companion to that solo stroll around Epcot energy. And this is a conversation with the Dapper Danielle all about Epcot and all about I Love Epcot, the new book. And I can't wait to share it with you. So I had the distinct thrill of being able to talk to the Dapper Danielle when she published the book I Love Magic Kingdom year. And so now we're talking about her new book, I Love Epcot. And like, I already knew as soon as we said hello in the I Love Magic Kingdom book that we were going to be back talking about the Epcot book. And she and I have talked since then as well. We've done another episode. And I was like, oh yes, her and I talking about Epcot, her talking about the book, talking about the process, us both talking about research. It's totally, of course it's going to happen, totally makes sense, and here's that conversation. It's so funny because there are a few moments here where I just want to both of us get like angry about lack of research and documentation and all that stuff, and so it's really awesome that Danielle has been able to like push through and get all that research done and do all that research to make I Love Epcot, an unofficial fan guide, available to you, again published by Adams Media. Like I Love Magic Kingdom and I Love Disneyland, which is another book that I got to talk to the authors about, this book is a really great blend of information, history, suggestions, and it's great. Like, it's a great size, the size of it. You can bring it with you on your solo trips, and it really is like you having a personal guide around Epcot. You can read it at home or listen to it at home. Danielle recorded the audiobook. You can consume it at home in preparation for your solo trip, or you can just bring it with you and read it in the park or at the hotel. It's so great. So again, I can't wait to share this conversation with you. If you don't know who the Dapper Danielle is, that's a surprise. All of her social media links are down below. You can also get a copy of the book through all of your regular local booksellers. The links to that are below as well. All of my social media links are below, as well as Patreon. And if you want to see how cute Danielle and I are talking and getting angry about Epcot research, become a Patreon member, and then you can watch our conversation from the the Zoom recording that we did, which was really great. I think that's it. Let's get right on into it. Guess who's back? It's the Dapper Danielle to talk about her loving Epcot and me loving Epcot and you loving Epcot. Welcome back, the Dapper Danielle.
Hello, hello. So happy to be back and to have a great yap session about Epcot. I'm so ready for this.
I know. And so last month on January the 6th, your new book published, I Love Epcot,
Mhm.
with Adams Media, Simon and Schuster. It is so great. And I
Thank
loved the
you.
first one because it felt like a little companion as you were walking around. And this one is exactly the same.
And we really, really tried for that to make sure it matched the same aesthetic. But I added in so much history, and I really wanted to highlight the unappreciated tones and like little things of Epcot and get it into this, like, because again, just like the Magic Kingdom book, it's not a true guidebook. It's a suggestion how to kind of book, right?
For sure, for sure. And it's great for families, but it's also really great for adults, solos,
hmm
as this podcast is focused on, and like people that are interested in like, yes, that main thing, but then also like that extra thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. And I also thought it was interesting because I also like learned some European history, some world history.
Right? I like the amount of, I will say, and thank goodness for my co-author and editorial advisor, Ian Wilson, who helped me on this book because this book, I just word dumped. I just poured out all this information and all this knowledge and like facts and figures referencing all these countries. And Ian's like, Danielle, this is great. We got to tone it down. And even with us toning it down, Adams Media is like, Danielle, this is too much information. You got it. We got to cut some stuff. But the stuff was cut. Don't worry, we'll be making it into the next book. So some really like because Epcot's history alone is so fascinating, and what could have been, what almost was, and what came and went is bonkers.
Which is also kind of like the Hollywood that never was and always will be. It's kind of like it's like MGM
Right?
Studios, but also Epcot replicating itself. It's like this weird postmodern reference to itself.
The Michael Eisner era really is
Yes.
what it is. Just say Michael Eisner, and everybody's like, ah, yeah, that
Ah,
makes
yes,
sense.
yes. And you and Ian worked on the first book together, so it's great that you were back to
Yes.
collaborate on this one.
Oh yeah, I feel like at this point, now that I've done two of the four parks, I don't know if Adams Media and them can justify bringing in anybody else. But again, it's a contract by contract basis, so we'll see what happens here for the next two books.
Well, and then you have another book, like there are parks, but then there's another book. So anyway, we're not going to talk about
Yes.
that. But even though this hadn't been published yet, you and I have spoke twice, and we've talked about this Epcot book
Hmm.
both times.
We
And when I
have.
was preparing for this interview, I was like, I do not think that you and I are going to have a difficult time talking about Epcot,
Mm-mm.
especially solo.
Because it is like out of all the parks, it is the ideal solo park. And if anything,
Totally.
it is my solo park. It is the one that I walk into. I'll just be like, let me just do my laps around World Showcase. Let me just walk by myself. Let me just go get a little snacky snack and then I'll leave. It
Yes.
is always in Epcot. Hmm.
I tell people that like Magic Kingdom is my favorite park, obviously, but I will go to Walt Disney World for Epcot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with the festivals currently happening, Festival of the Arts happening right now at this
Yes.
time. It's been amazing.
So I I mean, because the book is for other people, not just you, I wonder what your mental map of Epcot is. And if we can kind of start there because that I just want to like flag how my understanding of Epcot is biased. So or biased.
Hmm.
So this is my mental map of Epcot. It is wrong.
Okay.
People are going to say it's incorrect, but that's okay. It is the middle part. It is the old Earth world stuff. It is the new
Okay.
space stuff, even though I know that it's neither new, not all new, nor all space, nor all old, nor all like Earth. And then there's World Showcase, which I consider the real Epcot. So when
Yes.
I talk about Epcot, I'm really just thinking about World Showcase. And then there's like these other pieces. So I wonder what like your mental map is and like when you're going solo, how you think of it.
I mean, you kind of like phrased it up very easily. Like I would 100% agree with that. And even in the book, I really wanted to highlight the new concept because it used to be just two parts. It was just future world
Yeah.
all lumped in together, no cohesive like it was supposed to represent the future, but it wasn't. It was like an outdated Tomorrowland vibe. And
Yeah.
then there was World Showcase. And I feel like nobody had officially written down since 2020 and since the new neighborhoods documenting the differences. And so we made sure to highlight the neighborhoods of Discovery, World Nature, World Celebration, and really explain that. And I feel like for me, I would agree. I don't call it World Nature. I just call it nature.
Right. Yeah.
And imagination, though, even though it's part of World Celebration, it's its own thing. It's like its own island within
Yeah.
the two neighborhoods, and it shouldn't be attached to any of them because that is OG Epcot still.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
But that would be the only difference between my layout and yours.
I think that like that area and then the big pavilion. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember the name. But now they have like food festival booths in there. They used to be like, you know what, we'll use this as for a food festival booth, and now they're just
Are
like,
you talking
oh
about
no.
between Canada or Odyssey?
It's like it
The one
like
in your test track?
yes.
Okay, that's Odyssey building.
Right. So I feel like Imagination and Odyssey are on the same like latitude
They're
wavelength.
they're the limbo in between the two worlds. I would
Yes.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a
Yeah.
good way of putting it.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't watching on Patreon, we are gesturing wildly while we're doing
There are a
this.
lot of hand motions going on.
But it's kind of interesting because I do find that like latitude line is a bit of a border point between a new version of Epcot and like an established version of Epcot. So when you were writing the book, like where did because I know some people's memories about Epcot are very like historically based. So how did you navigate that? Does that make sense?
I think I understand what you're getting putting down. Are you saying um like their personal memories and what they remember, or are you talking
Yeah, like
about
some people will just be like, some people will only think of Epcot as like Guardians and Test Track, right? And some
mm,
people will be like, oh, it's all Figment. And, and so I wonder how your kind of navigation, your mental map, and like the history behind that mental map influenced how you approached providing a book that was just going to provide kind of like objective information.
right. I feel like for me and my family, when we were growing up and we came to Walt Disney World, we were actually, surprisingly enough, a resort family. So
Mm,
we did Magic Kingdom a lot. We did Hollywood Studios a little bit in the 90s, and Epcot and Animal Kingdom were not it for us. But when we got older, we loved to just do a half day. So we always had park hopper for some reason. So we would either do a resort day, and then our day was finished by going to a restaurant in Epcot. So
mm,
when I was growing up, I associated Epcot with food
yeah.
and trying all the different restaurants. And if anything, I feel like Epcot really exposed me to more cultures than anywhere I lived did. And I got to try all this different food from around the world. And I think that kind of was where my memories were associated with it, and why there is a lot of food mentioned and featured inside the book too. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, yeah. I talk a lot about the food and a lot of history of the restaurants too because
Yes.
of that.
I mean, I think of it as a food park too. I think that's why it's so great for solos.
Hmm.
Um, like adults, because you can have a more refined or experimental palate, and you can kind of trust it because like if it's a food festival, it's a small portion, or if
Right?
even if it's a restaurant, in my experience is if you're like, "Oh, no, no, no." A lot of restaurants will be like, "All right, let's get you some chicken fingers or whatever."
Yeah, I feel like even I don't know, even now as I go by myself, I've still do this too of when I go to Epcot, I'll see in the slow season, is there a sit down restaurant somewhere that I haven't tried? I have the time, I have the money to do so. Let me see if I can do a party of one table somewhere at any of the sit down restaurants. And what was the last one I just did? It was the one in Japan Pavilion. I wrote about it.
Like
It's
like the new
so
one?
the one that replaced Tokyo Dining in the
Yeah.
front top half, not the back half with the hibachi style, but in the front half.
Yeah, I can't remember
And
the name either, but it's good.
yes, it is so good. And if anything, I feel like if you are a solo traveler and you want to try something, that is a great restaurant to go to. And like if anything, you experience more of the culture because it's the Japan restaurants there are not substitutional. So you get what you order, it is as is. You cannot make substitutions to it because that is what is expected in Japanese cuisine culture. And I loved that. I thought it was amazing to be able to go and experience that, but I'd rather do it myself to try it out. And I just ask questions. I talk to my waitress and I'm like, what do you suggest? I want to know out of the desserts, what is the best dessert option? If I got a mocktail, what kind of mocktail should I get? So I love having those one-on-one conversations and not feeling like I'm hindering or taking away from anybody, and I can really just focus on the food and the atmosphere.
I love that. I have gotten a make your own sushi platter every time I've gone.
Yes.
And it's just like I just feel like I'm 6 years old. I'm just like me making my little sushi rolls like the way I want them and just by myself at the little sushi table. Like it's great. It's just a great experience.
I love that.
What I love about you talking about all the restaurants in the book is I I kind of expected for some restaurants to get a little bit of a, oh, and by the way, people don't really like the food, like that type of stuff. And I really appreciate that you didn't add that in because I know
No.
that like people do like that, but that can be so overdone that then people kind of close down their opinions. And so I really
Right.
appreciated when you talked about restaurants. I'm not going to even name them here. That kind of other feedback that people say, and they might not even know, like they might not have even gone themselves. You just kind of said like these are the things that are like are known for, and like this is where it is, and this is why it's unique, and this is when it was created. And I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a lot of it too is when you look at those perspectives, right? And those people that are giving those food reviews, a lot of them are local Americans,
Hmm.
right? So maybe this is their first time experiencing these cultures and experiencing these dishes, and it's just not for them. It's not their palate. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just you're not from that culture, and maybe it does accurately represent that culture too. So I wanted to kind of give as much as even feedback as possible. Don't bring in my bias. And I put in there little notes, and you can see them in the bottom of some of the entries of saying how, like, for the Japan restaurant specifically, this has a certain expectation from this culture. Bear this in mind before you make a reservation.
Mm,
Like, and I try to like subtly put it in there of saying, if you are a burgers and fries kind of person, do not go to this restaurant or double check the menu and just don't make a blind reservation without doing additional research. So I really try to emphasize that or add in more history about the restaurant and the inspirations behind the dishes to really just educate some people because I am shocked after doing this book how many people are not looking at the menu or they're looking at the menu but not diving into the pavilion or the culture that that restaurant is in. Does that make
right.
sense?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that that was how you answer that question because the restaurants I had in mind were not the ones in World Showcase. And I guess that just shows my own
Really?
like bias of like taste. But yeah. And so that's so interesting that of course people would be like, oh, well, I don't know, that would be kind of weird food. And you're like, well, no, that's actually food from this country, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So now that makes me wonder which ones are you thinking of?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't feel like I should say. I will say I found it interesting that you said that the Coral Reef restaurant was kind of an original restaurant.
I mean, it kind of was.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think like Coral Reef, bless her heart. She has had a lot, but there's also a lot of obscure and weird history about her
Yeah.
that has taken place. And I feel like even some of the restaurants in, as I'm also just doing other research about Walt Disney World property and actually diving in more on food history and what the chefs are allowed to do and
Mm,
how the ordering process for ingredients work, I am shocked at how many limitations are even put on Epcot restaurants, especially the Disney owned and operated ones. If
yeah.
it's a third party restaurant, they can order whatever they want. They don't have to abide by the same rules of Disney. But you'll notice the Disney restaurants, it's a lot of the exact same dishes that you might be able to find elsewhere around Walt Disney World property, and that's for a reason. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. But where was I going with this? And so Coral Reef falls into that also. You would think that maybe you would have a little something else, or
Right.
like why did the dishes not go a certain direction? It's because they are within those borders and those boundaries that are set by the other surrounding restaurants. There is so many possibilities for it. And I think she's just hanging out there. She needs a big old makeover. She's been the same since the 80s. She's like been iconic. She's been in multiple TV programs. She's was featured in Splash 2. Who knew?
Who knew?
Uh, and multiple movies were filmed in that restaurant as for the aquarium. And she's just hanging out there.
Yeah. So that was the restaurant I was thinking of.
Spoiler alert.
And it's so cool in there, right? And so to be
Yes.
like, I mean, yeah, anyway, so it was really cool. It made me want to go back and like look at her a little different, actually.
Right. And I do feel like I there were some restaurants that I was scarred by pre 2020.
Interesting.
And I would say Coral Reef probably was one of those restaurants.
Scarred
And
by?
then, well, not scarred by, but I was like, there is nothing here for me that I find appealing or interesting. It was lacking flavor. It was
Yeah.
very, very basic.
Yeah.
And I wanted something else. And I feel like here recently, after the change up of chefs and everything, a lot of menus have been revisited, they've been updated. And so there are some that I was like, I don't know if I want to try you. They're getting back onto my list of I haven't gone to visit you in like 5+ years. Let's give you another try again. Uh, yeah.
So, for listeners, that kind of like lukewarmness of Coral Reef was exactly what I was saying. It's not in the book, which I think is great, so that people can make their own
They need
because
to.
I just feel like you're not going for the food, and that isn't necessarily a criticism.
Right.
Right.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah, I really wanted when writing this, state the facts,
Yeah.
don't put personal opinions into it and focus more on the history aspect of it. And that's what I try to do with both the Magic Kingdom book and the Epcot book is try to give that level-headedness and let people really need to decide for themselves because they could go to Coral Reef and they'd be like, this is my family's favorite restaurant now. We're going to go here every single year. And I'm like, okay. But I didn't want to hinder it or give you any, like, my personal experience, put that on the reader kind of thing. So I
Right.
definitely tried to keep that level headed.
And that's why I love this book for solo travel because
Hmm.
you can read it to be able to like learn about the park and not just to dictate your trip. And I think
Right.
that that is such an important distinction for so many solo travelers because for a lot of solo travelers, you may have already been to the park a lot of times. And so now you want to get something a little bit different
Right.
and also like to discover something on your own with the support of your book, of course, Danielle, and then to like bring it back to others, I think is also
Hmm.
pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And also, like, when you were talking about the Morocco Pavilion, like, if you open those doors that are right there, you're going to see an exhibit. And I think that, like, when you're with a group of seven people, I don't know how all your seven people are going, but sometimes it's hard to be like, hey guys, let's open that door. But when you're by yourself, it's a little bit easier to kind of explore some of those nooks and
oh my
crannies.
gosh, yes. And I think even for me too, here recently, we had a lot of friends from California in and a lot of other influencers, and I made them go through the pavilions. And I'm like, this is what I do by myself. You're going to come and explore a part of Epcot that you've never even been into. So I took them through the back of China. I took them through Morocco and the back corners of the Italy pavilion and pointed out some things. And they're just like, huh. I never got past the beer cart over here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And that's why you're with me.
Every time I walk through the Moroccan pavilion and like you go around that other side where Sultan's tent was, I'm always like, have
Hmm.
I ever been here before? I do that every single time. It is always such a
Right?
delight to like remember how detailed these pavilions are.
Yes. And how much care and thought went into them. And I really try to highlight that in the China pavilion and talk
Hmm.
about the history. And I don't think people realize the level of mathematical scale and like attention to detail that went into recreating these giant structures down to the 1/4 number
Yeah.
and all the line work, all the details, all of the carvings to recreate these buildings and how it really was America's connection to China in the 80s, which most people
Hmm.
had not seen before,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah, totally amazing. And I also love how you frame the detail and the construction and things like that, but then also hint at I mean, politics isn't really the right word because of global politics, but oh,
Right.
please, yeah.
No, no, but no, it's something that definitely affected Epcot. It was
Yeah.
a huge, huge thing at the time. And it you can't talk about Epcot and people are like, well, why didn't they make that? Well, y'all, you had to know your world history and understood at least a little bit of what was happening at the time. Come on.
Yeah.
Uh, or like even there's stuff that's going into the next book too that were heavily affected
Yeah.
by what was happening in the world and why it never came to Walt Disney World. And Epcot was in the middle and in the forefront of all that.
Yeah. And you can't see it unless you know about it. And that's why the
Right?
book is so useful. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what is something that you learned about what I call the new space area, which I know is incorrect? Can you remind me what the real name is?
Oh, World Discovery.
Okay. So, what is something we'll leave World Showcase? What is something that you learned about World of Discovery or World Dis
Well, World Discovery is the neighborhood that encompasses like the Odyssey building, Test Track, Mission Space, and now Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Is that what the area you were
Yes,
thinking of in
that is the
particular?
area I'm thinking of. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I honestly,
I got my
it
map
made
out. Like
no,
I know it in like as a like in my body. I just don't know the
yes.
words.
If I'm standing there, well, and I mean, that's the same thing too, is that everybody calls it something different. Like people still
Yeah.
call Hollywood Studios MGM. You're going to call it, yeah, I'm in the future world. What are you talking about? I'm in World Discovery. I totally get it. You're not the only one that does
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
I feel like if anything, if you've been going to Disney World property, you have your own nicknames for whatever.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Like, oh, that's the place I can go take a nap behind a Joffrey's cart.
right. I'm going to the nap section. What does that mean?
Don't worry, you don't need to know.
Exactly. Exactly. For something I learned about world discovery, I think what I learned most about world discovery was there are so many great homages, even in the newer updates to things, to original Epcot. And that made my heart so glad.
Mm,
We put so much of that detail, especially when talking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
I threw so many Easter eggs about Epcot's history in there as much as I could because I'm like, you guys need to understand and appreciate the storytelling that was put in here that
Yep.
not only ties in the Marvel universe, but Imagineering threw in there to tie in Epcot history. And I'm like, chef's kiss. And it made me really appreciate the queue even more. Do I still ride the attraction? Absolutely not because I don't do roller coasters, but I will go
Oh,
stand in that queue and I will appreciate it.
so I don't like roller coasters either, although I don't even think people would call that roller coaster. So I'm glad you and I do. But I do love that because I love the music. I'm like, I just want to go
Yes,
hear a song.
exactly.
Yeah. I really love that you shared so much of that in the book because, well, one thing, all of that, all those Easter eggs, all that history, all that lore they built into the queue, it's documented in a way that other things haven't been, which is something you and I've talked about both
Hmm.
when we've done these, but also offline as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so for you to be able to codify it even more in the book, I think is really important because in 10 years could that be lost? It could
Oh,
be,
100%.
but it is so useful that you are like directing people because we're not just talking about today's readers, but you're directing people to like be reminded to look for these
Hmm.
things.
And actually, two great examples of that is there were a couple of things over in the Norway pavilion, some like details for the new Anna and Elsa, the where rock formation is and everything. And then over in where was the other one? Inside Creations, the gift shop, like the art pieces and the art installations.
Hmm.
There was a beautiful post that was made by the Imagineering team or somebody that was in charge of like Imagineering social media. And that is the only reference to it. Heaven forbid something happens to that guy's account and he is certified by Disney. He still works for the company. He's part of like the legacy, whatever. And if something happened to his account and that information was deleted, there is no other record of it. So I did go through and I used his stuff as reference for some of these things. And I'm like doom scrolling through some of his older posts too to try to be like, what other information do you have that's not anywhere
Tell it
else
to
on the
all
internet?
to me.
And tell me everything. And he has receipts for it too. Of he'll have pictures of it and he'll have like, oh yeah, this is in reference to this original thing and this section of this attraction from 1985. And I'm like, I love you, sir, and I appreciate you so much. And so I made sure this was written in the book and I wanted to make sure it was documented in physical form. Ex oh my goodness. And with the new, I feel like this new book, Epcot wasn't so bad, But now with Google AI and you try to find information and it's feeding you false information, you're having to dig through the weeds even more so to see what is true. So finding those resources and guaranteeing that they are factual. Uh, I was like, I'm going to add to that. I've double checked all my resources, crossed my T's, dotted my I's, and I was not going to put false information in my book because I know physical media now is going to be something people are going to be searching and craving for. So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well that as a historian in my the rest of my life, as a history education strategist in my rest the rest of my life, I want to talk about that a little bit more, but we will not
ooh,
bore people on this particular conversation. But I actually that's interesting because what I was going to ask you was whether or not when you were doing research for the book that you found, I think the answer is no after what you just said. But whether you found that there was greater documentation for certain things in these new attractions that have showed up at Epcot versus the older ones. But I'm hearing kind of no.
I'm here. It was oddly a yes and a no. I was
Okay.
shocked at the amount of stuff that was put out, but I'll say, for example, World Discovery, right? There is so much great information that was shared by the Imagineers. And the only way I could find this information to make sure it was true or to make sure it was accurate was to watch the people that recorded the entire interaction with the Imagineer. Because these news sites or these other influencers that they invited didn't focus on what I find interesting, that I think
Right.
other people in the history world will find interesting later on. They just glossed it over and only mentioned other random things. I was like, no, 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 go back, go back, 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 back. And this is what I want to know. So I'm going through hours of video from these
Right.
newer attractions and having to really listen to what these Imagineers are saying to make sure the information I'm putting out there is true and not an abbreviated version that has been fluffed a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And
I'm
even
thinking about
with,
the promotion for Guardians of the Galaxy and like the videos that I saw where some people were like, "Oh, yeah, let me just ask you this follow-up question." And other people were like, "Okay, great." And like they just do a little TikTok dance and move on.
that was me with Test Track. Oh my goodness, because this book was technically finished before Epcot or before Test Track opened.
Right.
So I am relying on the influencers. I am relying on the news outlets that were allowed to come and talk to Imagineers and everybody else beforehand and watching these people's ride POVs. And I'm watching it in like zero point 0.5 speed to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm re-listening to the audio over and over again. I'm sounding like a crazy person as I'm just sitting at my computer in the dark, like watching this information. And literally, it was the last entry that was created before the book was published.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, you have to hold off. You gotta wait, edit everything else around it, but leave this chunk of space open and we'll just throw it in there. And yeah, it's the information that was created for Test Track, there wasn't any. Or they
Mm-hmm.
didn't bring in people to ask questions that knew about the ride. A lot of influencers they actually brought in, though I love a lot of them and I follow their regular content, they're not Disney history people or Disney
Right.
people. They are just regular influencers, so they don't know the questions to ask. And bless their hearts, some of the Imagineers that they brought in, they are truly technically minded. They don't know how to talk to people.
I thought you were just gonna
And
end on technically minded.
they are, I'm like, you are so intelligent. You don't know what we're asking. And and so yeah, it was very amusing to watch some of those interactions and to listen to some of that too. So
I saw a review of something unrelated to Disney, and the guy said the food was aggressively average. And I think when you said that they are very technically minded, it's the same brand of comment.
right,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the best way of putting it.
I mean, I feel like you and I can spend hours just talking about the frustration of non-documentation because of how much is there, right? Like I last year at this time I was creating an episode about like Black history at Walt Disney World and just like the mural on Tiana's got me. I had so many tabs and so much, this
Mm,
whole big thing. Like, I was like, okay, Samantha, like, what are you gonna, like, there's, there's so much information there. You can't say it all in the podcast. Are you gonna write an article about it? Like, it's just amazing what's there, but it's so much work to find it.
it is.
But
Or,
not when you have your wonderful book,
oh, thank
Danielle.
you. Thank you. Well, and I had to do a lot of that too, though, of there's finding actually some of it is written about the creation of World Showcase itself. There is information that Disney refused to say, and Walt Disney Company refused to publish or confirm any of these things. I had to go to the memoir of Tishman, the company that was the third part, the builder of it, and read through segments of his memoir talking about the building of it because this was years ago, years after the creation of it. He was old. He ended up passing away 5 years after the book was done. So he didn't care. So I was like, thank you, sir, for saying and confirming what I needed to find. But Disney themselves never confirm it.
Yeah.
And it racks my brain.
I'm only moving on because I feel
Oh
like
no,
both of our
I mean
blood
we're
pressure,
good.
but I also
We
feel
can
like both
keep
of our
going.
blood pressure is probably high right now because we're
You
like,
know,
we just want all the information. You give us
I
the tip of the ice. You give us an ice cube. We want the whole iceberg. We know it's
what's the
there.
audio from TikTok? I hope you're ready for nothing. Literally, it's like how I felt with some of this. And I agree with that. If anything, writing the Epcot book made me angry. Like people are like, what are your feelings? How do you feel about the Epcot book finally being released? I'm like, more frustrated than anything else because it just made me go through like down rabbit holes of what could have been, what should have been, why not? Like these questions that still bog my brain and I find fascinating yet awful at the same time.
And that's why I wasn't worried about filling the time with Dapper Danielle talking about Epcot. Also, the anger is not through the book at all. And if you
No,
aren't this minded, or you've only been like a couple times and not a million times the way we may have, you will not be angry at this book. I like it
no,
was interesting because there are so many things I'm like, God, like, why isn't there documentation? But I did find that the book, again, like, and I learned some history stuff. Like, it was really interesting. So I just want to like flag,
good.
like,
No,
even though we are angry right now, the book is not angry.
no, and I like I want to stress that so much of like the book is not angry. It's actually
No,
very, very level-headed. And there was a lot of little tiny history in there that I had to fight for with Adams because I'm also educating my publisher at the same time because
right?
nobody else is talking about these things. And what they at one point an editor suggested like they're like, "Well, can you focus more on the like drinking around World Showcase?" And I said, "No, because that's not how I do Epcot. When I do my solo traveling, I like some people are focusing on drinking around the world. I'm not doing that. I'm going and focusing on food. I'm focusing on the cultural representation. And we need to really highlight that because there's so much more to Epcot than just drinking around the world. And just, I wanted to highlight that so much in the book. So I had to fight for a lot of the information that did get put in there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a drinker at all, but I also feel like if that is your main reference point to Epcot, I don't know if this is going to be mean. So apologies to everyone in advance. But if
We,
that's
we,
your
we listen and
main,
we don't judge.
oh no, this is a judgy comment. If that is your main reference point to Epcot, sorry, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it
No,
anyway.
if you know, I'm going to say it for you. If
Okay.
that is your main reference point to Epcot, that is the most expensive cover charge for any bar that you will ever go into.
I don't know what I was going to say,
Like
but that's correct. Like
but that's
your
where,
focus is
yeah.
not on the history.
No.
Yeah.
Which if you want to pay 180 some odd dollars for a ticket into Epcot so you can go spend more money on $20 drinks all the way around all the pavilions, you do you, boo.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. I am happy for you, but you ain't gonna remember that park at all.
Oh yeah, like do we don't really need a deep dive in like what you're going to get
No.
at the Japan Pavilion. You're going to be pretty blasted by the time you get there anyway. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that was not there. Okay, Okay, so back to World Discovery. So thank you for sharing what you learned. What do you think after doing the research for the book you think is the best thing that you want like a solo to other than the Guardian stuff,
Mhm.
like to see or to do in World Discovery?
I would actually say World Discovery is great, but the solo traveler that is going by themselves needs to just go and appreciate World Celebration, which is the
Mm,
gardens immediately behind Spaceship Earth. The new beautiful area. You go get your little snacky snack. Go get your little food. Go into Communicore, whatever festival's going on, go get a little something and then take it out into the garden and just vibe. Take
yeah,
in the atmosphere, especially as the sun starts to set, the lights start to
chef's
come
kiss.
on, the Epcot ball starts to become illuminated and it starts changing colors. I just sit there and I vibe and
Yeah.
just people watch and watch people take their family photos over there. Go check out Walt over there as he's looking out across World Showcase and just be present in the moment. And I feel like World Celebration, that garden area, really has brought that to the forefront. And even there's a section in the book too where I talk about how it has become the work destination for so many locals here in Walt Disney
Yes.
World.
I was going to
Hmm.
say that like yes, you mentioned that there are the outlets and there's places that you can charge your phone, but also with your laptop. And it feels kind of set up like that. Like it feels kind of
Oh,
like how
100%.
Starbucks was like 15 years ago when you could
Right.
just set up your office there.
Yeah, and I know quite a few people that when they do their work from home days on Thursdays or Fridays, they go into Epcot and their way of treating themselves is they have to get so much work done. And then once work is done, they close their laptop, they put in their little travel bag and they head to whatever their favorite pavilion is. And depending on how much they get done, they're allowed to treat themselves to either Mexico or Japan or France, or maybe the day was stressful and you're just going to go get an entire baguette just to eat to yourself. You can do that and nobody will judge you.
Oh no. No, no, no. That's what's so great about Disney is that you can try so many things and Epcot is like the place to do that.
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And the perfect place just to take it all in, enjoy by yourself. And like I said, I do it all the time.
I wonder if you have a favorite place to cry at Epcot because a lot of people in the solo stories talk about like yes, Tears with the Fireworks, both at Magic Kingdom and at Epcot, but that like Epcot there are so many like
There
hidden
are.
places and that can like really touch you in certain ways that you can
Mhm.
have like a good little cry.
I feel like what section of Epcot makes you verklempt? Like where, and I feel like for me, we've talked about this in the previous episodes too, of I am such a people person and I love watching others and I love seeing people experience things for the first time. I'm like, "Ah, that was a beautiful moment." So I would say, weirdly enough, one of my favorites here recently where I've seen some of the best, most beautiful interactions is in the UK pavilion and especially during Festival of the Holidays.
Mm.
And you're watching these families listen to Father Christmas or Pierre Noel over in the France pavilion, or even over in the garden area, you see Alice running around with littles and they're trying to find the white rabbit. And I'm just like, this is what Disney magic is supposed to be. And they are literally with Alice as she's running around a maze and enjoying a day in Epcot. This is beautiful. I would say it's like witnessing those little moments and pausing and realizing, oh, there's so much else that's currently happening in this park
Yeah.
that they're like people assume also that Epcot is only for adults, where really it is for kids if you know where to look and where to find it. And it can be for any age, it can be for any demographic, what you're looking for, whether you're looking for to drink around the world or not drink around the world. There is something in Epcot for everybody. It is not just one-sided. And I think I've grown to appreciate that more here in recent years. You just walk in either to the
Yes.
back of World Showcase, walk in through the front also, and just take your time, just doing your laps around, little nibbles here and there, and just talking to people too. It is,
Yeah.
I think, I'm not saying people have lost this ability, but I think people have lost the ability to talk to the international representatives.
Mm.
and realize that these people are from these cultures and they want you to ask questions. They want you to be interested in their home country and they would love to share it with them. I do feel like when I'm with other family members and they're on a mission, they're like, Danielle, stop yapping. We gotta go. And I'm like, no, I'm learning about this man's entire home country and where he's from and what his favorite food is.
Yeah.
I want to know this information. So I only can do that when I'm solo traveling.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about the cultural representatives is how much they represent the cultures that they're from. So, so like my sister is married to an Italian. She lives in Italy. So I'm just gonna preface that. But like almost every time I'm in Italy, like one, they're kind of ignoring me. Two, there's like some sort of romance
Hmm.
going on behind the scenes.
Oh my
Three,
goodness.
there's some sort of argument that is happening like in the periphery. And I'm just like, oh, it's like real Italy.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, no, yeah, I do warn my little college program friends. Like there was one that I know her family, and so she was coming in. She's starting her program actually here this month, and she's like, Danielle, what do I need to know? And I'm like, number one, if you need anything, you know who to call. Number two, if the Italian men or any of the men from the France pavilion are flirting with you, it is not genuine. Do not engage.
No, no,
And she's
no.
like, what? And I'm like, it will
Trust me.
happen. Don't do it. And she's like, okay. Yeah, so
My
funny. So
mother's
funny.
like, the hottest man I've ever seen at the whole Walt Disney World Resort property was a cast member in the Italy pavilion. Why can't I find him? And I'm like, they're just bait. They're just bait.
They're just bait. It's all an illusion. He's an animatronic. Don't look at him.
I don't know if I told you this story when we were talking before, but I had gotten this giant fan. Actually, you can kind of see it right there. Anyway, it's fine.
Ooh,
It's a
yes.
giant Disney fan because it was hot. And I was sitting in the pub at in the England Pavilion, and someone was saying like it was a nice fan, and I was like, thanks, but it's a little too big, so it's actually hard to fan. And this young boy, this like teenage young boy who had his like, I didn't think he was paying attention. He's like, you need to get a different man in each country to fan you while you're there. I was
And you're
like,
like, yes, I do. I agree with this
yes.
sentiment.
I was like, I'm going to keep a lot of my opinions to myself because you were 14, but I love that idea.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Okay, quickly, what is something that you learned about world nature? And what is something that
Mm.
you definitely want solos to like take a look at or like pay a little bit more attention to based on the research and writing that you did for the book?
I mean, world nature, what I think solo should take away from world nature is that you are allowed to be a nerd and enjoy the rides other people think are boring.
Love it.
Go ride Living with the Land. Go be fascinated by the cucumbers and the agricultural system and the little aquaphonic system that they have over there for the little plants, and you just go and stare. You're allowed to go do that by yourself. You don't
Yeah.
have to have other people with you, and you're going to probably enjoy it even more. You're going to take other inspirations for your at-home garden from there. Go ride Seas with Nemo and Friends.
I love that
Just
ride.
take the AC and go and
Yes.
enjoy the aquarium. You don't have to be with other people to enjoy the aquarium. You can go like the fishies. I just go talk to my cousins, the manatees, and I'm just like, "Hey, bro, how you doing?" Uh, and what else? And like I do enjoy Moana, but if you go walk through Moana, don't go in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You have to go during golden hour. You go walk through. There's not as many kids there because it's that weird dinner in between time. And you just walk through. And then when you get to Fidi and the lights start turning on, there's that golden glow sunset behind her. Amazing photos, y'all. You have no idea. And that's going to be the it photo spot to round out world nature. And then you go from there to go into world discovery. You get your snacks and you just chill and watch the beginning of the Epcot ball turn on.
10 out of
And you're
10 day.
set. That's a
10 out of
perfect
10
solo day.
golden hour. 100%. 100%. I love that I think it's important for solo travels to remember that you wrote this book as someone that does Epcot solo. And so, so
Yes.
often a lot of the media and reviews and things like that about Disney, um, I mean, obviously are not focused on solo travelers. I totally get
No.
that, but I think it's like a nice reminder that is how you understand Epcot, because it's it's easier to read it to be like, "Oh, right, I can go and appreciate this on my own."
Yes. And like I I think we talked about this in both of our last talks actually. And since those talks, someone else has come up to me and said, "Well, I want to go do this, but I'm by myself. Is that going to be weird?" I'm like, "No, girl.
No.
You're fine. Like who's going to judge you? Number two, why do you care? Go do it." And I really think it boils down to the nerdiness side of it. I think people are afraid to embrace their nerdy side, embrace their geekdom, whatever they find interest in it. What is it? Food? Is it cultures? Is it art? Is it nature? Is it the science side? Are you a nerd about space? Do you want to go into Space 220 and you want to go sit at the bar and just stare at this giant screen
Gorgeous.
and live in the world of space possibility and have some pretty decent food or at least some really good drinks? Then go for it. Do it by yourself. You don't have to get validation from somebody else in your party. You can 100% go live your best life, boo.
100%. And I think that like, yes, you shouldn't care what other people think about you. I know that people do. Okay, we can all work through that. But
Which is
at
fine. We're human.
Yep, that's right. But at Disney, it's really not the same.
It's not.
And cast members are like always your cheerleaders for your like nerdy little obsessions.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like it is amazing the amount of information. I'll go back to the seas with Nemo and Friends, for example. When you go into that aquarium and you're just hanging out there by yourself, the cast member is so full of so much information because they talk
totally.
with these, they care for these animals, they talk about these animals on a daily basis, and they're just itching to find that person that finds interest in what they do because they're going to tell you information by yourself that they're not going to tell the average family.
Yeah.
So I like find those people and they will feed into you even more.
Totally. I know at Animal Kingdom, I was doing a walkthrough of one of the, I think it was in Asia. And like,
Yes.
a cast member just started talking about a door. And I was like,
Yeah. Maharaja Jungle Trek.
yes, that's right.
And the and
40
I
minutes
didn't.
later.
Right. And
Yeah,
you're just like, I know the entire lore of this land and nobody else does because I don't think people realize that the treks back there have a storyline.
totally.
And little things like that also have storylines in Epcot too. And I try to highlight that as much as I could in the book. But some of it you're just going to have to take the basic information I gave you and you got to go find it for yourself.
And I think that that's like a super fun solo activity as well. This was
Yes.
just really wonderful. This was so great. I was so excited to talk with you about the book. I'll tell you though, like what my dream. So I did a VIP tour in August, and my dream
Yes.
VIP tour, wait for it, I think you'll love it, is to do a VIP tour of World Showcase. And that like it's like a history lesson, and we do like food sampling throughout, and we get to talk with
Yes.
the cultural representatives and like point out some history stuff. And like rides aren't like my main thing, so I know it is for some people, but for me, just like having being able to do the ins and outs of Epcot would be like my dream VIP tour, but I feel like this is a very close second.
You have the Dapper Danielle in your pocket when you read the I Love Epcot book. I do it on my regular social media. And you don't need to pay the money for a plaid. Instead, you just pay the what, $15, $17 for my book? I'm way cheaper than a plaid. I'm just gonna say that.
And do you have an audio version for this book as well?
I do. Yes. Simon and Schuster, they were like, "Do you want to do the audio book again?" And I was just like, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Again, if I don't do it, people will be angry. So I did do this one, and I will say it was very difficult because I did put so many architectural and real world references in there, and I do not speak the language of that culture. So it took us a lot more time to make sure we went through things and make sure I pronunciate correctly. So I'm not saying buongiorno, welcome to southern France. So we did have to go through that a little bit more. But yes, the audiobook is available wherever you get your audiobooks at. The book itself, the physical book, should be wherever you get your books at. For my friends across the pond over in the UK, I do not have confirmation on if you guys have received it yet or when you are getting it. Um, I know for the Magic Kingdom book, it released in some countries 2 weeks later, in some countries 3 months later. So I just do not know.
It was a pleasure as always.
Oh, thank you.
How can people get in touch with you if they don't know already?
Well, if you don't know already, I am the Dapper Danielle, and I am on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I'm basically wherever you get social media from, except for X. Yeah,
It's okay. We don't.
I'm even on Facebook. The um, and so I'm everywhere. You can find my content everywhere. The book, like I said, is available everywhere. Amazon, Barnes Noble, Books a Million, wherever you get your books from. Audiobooks, heck, it's even over on Spotify. On their audiobook versions that they have over there too, not just Audible. So wherever you listen to it too, I'm probably somewhere. Or just search Orange Bird and my face will pop up.
Oh, and
It'll happen.
I don't think I recorded this, but I did bring a little orange bird for you. Do you remember
Oh,
this? Do you like know this
Is it
souvenir?
is it the one that he turns inside out and turns into the Epcot ball?
Yes.
Y'all, when this merchandise piece released, everybody was tagging me in it because they're like, Danielle, what is this? And he's fabulous. I think he is a hoot and a half.
I know.
So
I don't
funny.
have a lot of plushes, but I did love this. Yes.
Well, and I feel like the art of him, like not even the ball form, but with him out, the line work that they put on his little leaves, his eyebrows are all there, his stomach's accounted for. It has all the things that make Epcot cute, or not Epcot,
Orange
Orange
bird.
Bird cute,
Totally.
and he has cute details on the plushie, and I thought they did a really good job with that one.
Yes, did. Yes, so the book wherever books are sold.
Hmm.
Also, you can probably find it at the library. Support your local libraries because that is
Yes.
very important.
Hmm.
And until next time, Danielle.
Have a very magical day and night night, sleep tight, dream of churros tonight. Bye, y'all.
Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you like this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. This 2026, consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon member. Your Patreon membership helps offset the cost of running the podcast, but also creates a little fund for me to try new things when I'm at Disney Solo and tell you all about them when I get back. Patreon members get a reflection after every episode, and that is like a mini episode in and of itself where I give you some behind the scenes stuff that I don't want on the public feed. Thank you again for listening. Please make sure you also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Please make sure you subscribe, like, review, share on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.